We're going to go through my 10-point plan for budgeting on a low income. Hi everyone, welcome to Budget of Oz. My name's Sarah, a disabled low income budgeter, and today we're going to be going over my 10-point plan for how I budget as a disabled low income budgeter. Step 1. How do you spend your money? Knowing what you spend your money on is really important. So tracking your expenses, whether it be on a phone, in a spreadsheet, looking at your bank statements, or looking at your transactions through receipts or on your phone via apps, is really important to understand where you're spending your money. Expense tracking doesn't have to be complicated, and you can just use simple templates. I'll have my free one in the description down below, but you can simply just write down what you've spent in each category each week, or you can track every individual expense. For those starting out, I recommend printing off your bank statements for the last 3 months and going over your expenses, just to have an idea of where you're spending money. Where is the money going? What bills are you paying? What things are you ordering? How often are you ordering things on Uber Eats or Amazon? Just to kind of have an idea. Step 2, essential expenses. Now that we have an idea of what we're spending our money on, we need to find out what are essential expenses. Now this will change for every person. What my essential expenses are will not be what yours are. So for me, my essential expenses are my bills, my everyday necessities like food, pet supplies, fuel. But I also have essentials of things I need for living with a disability. For those that have been around a while, you know about my disability life binder. That's an essential for me. But others may not have that, or they might have something along the lines of kids or grandkids if you look after your grandkids. So these essential categories are different for everyone. But the most important thing is that you identify what are your essential expenses. Step 3. What's the maximum your essentials will cost you? So what I think is important to do is to calculate how much these essential expenses can cost you. You can choose to do this calculation fortnightly, monthly, or yearly in order to help you understand exactly what the most each of these essentials can cost you. The reason I say the most is because I think it's really important that we focus on making sure we budget for the worst bill. So to do that, I would take, say, my water bill. It's a quarterly bill. I would take the last 4 and go off, okay, what's the highest? And I would say that's the one I would base my budget on. For example, phone bills. Phone bills can be a little bit easier. You've got a monthly amount you pay. The maximum you have to pay every month is that amount, and you know what it will be. So for things like bills and set things, that can be really easy. I understand that things like everyday expenses and personally for me, disability life can be a little bit more tricky to get a finite number. I always just overshot what I think it will be. For things like medication, I've gone through and looked at all my medications I need in a month, added up how much it would cost me to buy each of those scripts every month, and base my calculation off that. Again, we go overshot in order to make sure we have enough money. And we calculate this again however you choose to calculate it. For me, I do a yearly calculation that I then break down to a monthly calculation that I use in my monthly budgets. but that's the way I choose to do it. Everyone is different. Step 4, your income streams. Now, income streams are kind of different for everyone. Of course, the standard, what's your job, how much do you make? And yeah, that is standard. But nowadays, most people have side hustles and things like that. So sometimes we have money coming in from different sources. And if you're a millennial or a Gen Z, sometimes we have multiple different jobs. I work 2 part-time jobs that are seasonal, and therefore my income streams fluctuate throughout the year based on that. So you have to take that into consideration, knowing what your income streams are, when you will have more money if they are seasonal, and when you're going to have less money, and taking that into consideration. For me, I know I pretty much get no work in December and January. None at all. I know this. I know I have really tight budgets in December and January, but I know that. And so I factor that in. It's really important, if you do have these varying income streams, to understand the ebb and flow of your income and to always make note of that. For me, I'm always conscious, as I work in the education sector, of the university and tertiary education semesters and trimesters and the school terms. That's just me. Everyone will be different. Step 5, minimum income. Now that you know what your income streams are, you have to calculate what is the minimum income you can earn. Now you'll see here that I've said minimum income. I always believe that we overestimate our expenses and underestimate our income. You do that to ensure you have enough money to pay everything you need to pay. With the extras, you can save them, put them away into savings challenges, sinking funds, whatever you'd like to do. So for the minimum incomes, take what will be guaranteed income. Again, those with casual work or multiple casual incomes, I take the average. So for me, when I'm calculating this on a month or even across the year to get an average to see, how I can spread out my money across the year, I will look at, on average, how much will I make from each job across 3 months or across 6 months. And I apply that to every month. And so I look at it, as I said, and it allows me to put things away into different categories when there's more in those months than that bare minimum, which allows me to deal with having very low income in December and January. Step 6, a budget system. Now there's many budget systems out there. I personally use the cash stuffing zero-based balanced method, and it works for me really well. But if you are working and you can't get to a bank during business hours to take cash out and deposit cash in, it might not be the best for you. If you are not very good with managing time and, working better off of a digital version and spreadsheets, that would work for you. Perhaps the zero-based method isn't best for you and you prefer to just pay your bills and give yourself an allowance and everything else just gets put away in one savings account without an allocation. However you like to budget, there are many different budgeting systems. I personally believe in the cash system, the cash stuffing system and the zero-based balance system because it really works for me. And I believe on a low income you can make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, like I have. However, Google, see what else is out there and figure out what works best for you. Step 7, budget routine. As I said, I budget every month and then I budget every month and then I will do a subset of that budget every pay period. Now, during low pay months like December and January, that's every fortnight. During high pay months, that's every week. That's a budget routine that works for me and my pay and the way I budget. So based on your budget system, you will have a different budget routine. For those that only get paid once a month, their budget routine may be on their payday, they budget everything out and they allocate it all out, and they then make sure they have enough to last them for the month, or that they allocate out to different weeks. Find a budget routine that works for you, taking into consideration your situation and budget system. Step 8, dealing with more expenses than income. When you have a negative budget, it can be really stressful. When you can't pay all of your bills and you know you're going to be behind. I'd like to say I have a quick and simple solution for you. I don't, unfortunately, and I don't believe that there is one without going further into debt. However, there is a way to slowly get out of it. Using the cash budgeting method of having sinking funds and slowly putting a little bit away every pay period, whether that's every week, every fortnight, every month, for those bigger bills, allows for those big expenses to come through. Also allows for those unexpected things, having an emergency fund, having those things. Having those things in place helps, but it is tough. And sometimes you do have to look at what to do. There are two options: cutting out all unnecessary expenses, which may also include cutting down on essentials, or going into debt, making sure you're trying to go into as low of an interest debt as possible. For those in Australia, getting a Centrelink loan or a low interest loan through charities may be a good option for you if it's a short term thing. However, I would very much suggest not going to cash converters or any of those other high interest loan places due to the fact that their interest is so high. I would look at talking to the banks or talking to other lenders that have a more stable financial rate. However, I'm not a financial advisor. I would highly recommend you to talk to a financial advisor if your situation is dire. Step 9, selecting saving categories. So I've been talking about these sinking funds, and these sinking funds are essentially our saving categories, what we are saving for, what we are sinking money into for the future. So selecting these categories is completely up to you and how you want to put your money towards in the future. I personally have several binders that are dedicated to the people I care about, that are dedicated to my home, that are dedicated to myself, all of which have different categories in them that I stuff. On top of course, my disability life sinking fund binder. So what I do is I consider, where do I want to be able to spend money in the future and just have the money to spend, not have to fret and worry about it. Have the money to spend. Things like Christmas, things like giving my niece a, housewarming gift, things like giving my my brother a christening gift for his son. All of these things I want to have money for and I want to do without thinking. And I don't want my financial situation that week or that day to interfere with me doing that. So I want to save up for them. So I sink money into them. Hence, these are my sinking funds. But everyone will have different categories. And first one I recommend, of course, is your emergency one. Always consider having an emergency fund first for the, oh my God, life happens, everything's gone to hell. It's really important. Step 10, staying on track. It can feel really overwhelming sometimes to keep doing this process and to stay on track. And trust me, I understand it. I'm currently recording this in hospital. And to continue to stay on track with finances when life gets overwhelming is so hard. But if you watched my bill condensing video for the end of 2023, you'll see how much I was able to do in 9 months this year by just sticking to it. Just $5 a month, a fortnight, or a week into these categories, and I was able to save so much. Staying on track is really important. And what I do to make sure I do that, well, one, personally, I'm on YouTube, so I'm accountable to you guys. I post and you see, but that's not suitable for everyone. I make a time and I schedule when I'm going to look at my budget the day before payday. I sit down and I schedule and I double check how much I'm going to have and I budget. Of course, use CBAT, but sitting down, other people I've talked to who have taken this up, they sit down and they budget. They just put 20 minutes aside the day before payday and they budget it. And they budget where their money is going to go. And that $20 keeps them on track financially for that pay period, whether it's a week, a fortnight, a month, whatever. And so just taking that 20 minutes to set it aside and keep on going. And remember to keep your eye on the prize. For me, I'm doing this to be more financially secure for the people around me and for myself. Living with disabilities is costly and very hard. And I want to show all of you that it can be done. But I also want to show myself and my friends and family that it is entirely possible to live on a low income budget comfortably. You don't need all the riches in the world to be happy. And that's what I'm living towards, what I'm moving towards. Being able to pay my bills, put food on the table, and be comfortable. I hope all of this helps you out. A lot of people have been asking me for some of my tips and tricks for budgeting on a low income. These is the 10 steps I've taken and I take all the time when I refresh my budget. I refresh my budget about once every 6 months to a year to look at what's actually happening and making sure I've got everything in the right place. I hope this has been helpful to people. I hope you like this. Please follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you would like some more shorter content. If you like this form of video, I know it's very new and different, please hit the like button and leave me a comment below and tell me what you like or didn't like about this kind of content. And I look forward to seeing you again. If you're here and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And I'd love to see you come back here. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.